free and dive into the sky. Hear the wind crying out its prayer. Why are we so ashamed to be alive? Break the chains and our freedom's ours to take. Look behind your back. Chase a light when the world is getting darker. I have a dream where love's the only side. So take my hand, join the army of the shadows. Going harder, we are more than numbers, standing in the shade. Going louder, we are all one color, standing in the way. Join the army of the shadows. Join the army of the shadows. Join the army of the shadows. Shadows, shadows. Join the army of the shadows. Join the army of the shadows. Going harder, we are more than numbers, standing in their shade. Going louder, we are all one color, standing in their way.
Yeah. All right. Good morning, Twitch. How is it going? On the left side. I'll go over there. Almost. No. Fuck. So, good morning. Welcome back to the stream. Starting everything out, gonna go ahead and once again introduce myself, mostly for posterity, and talk a little bit about what I am doing over here in the world of Ash Something Art. My name is Ash. I go by Ash Something Art professionally. I am a predominantly commission-based, multidisciplinary artist. I do everything from character art and design to pinups, tattoo design, graphic design, character art, illustration. I work both digital and in both digital and traditional media. I have been spending a lot of time over the last month or two trying to catch up on a pretty big backlog of commissions, starting from July of last year up to essentially January, because some stuff went down. I lost my housing and had to go through like this massive 3 or 4 month process of moving, or not moving, but like trying to find a place because the housing market out here is trash. And it left me a little bit worse for the wear. And I was MIA on Twitch over the last week or so because all of that stress and trying to push through and power through it through January and most of February ended me. I mean, I was really productive during that time, but it ended up hitting me with a burnout ball, and I was just gone for a bit there. That said, this month I have completed 14 commissions and massive amounts of a massive variety of different things, some cartoon style stuff, some comic book style stuff, and going into March, I'm looking at a fairly large project where I'm going to be doing icons for playable character classes in an upcoming tabletop role-playing game by FGG Games. This is the third commission that I've done for FGG Games. The last one was a book cover, and the one prior to that was a set of these in-game maps for a campaign setting book that they were doing for the same RPG that I'm going to be doing these icons for. So anyway, that's a bit about what's going on over here. What's on the plan, or on the table for today, you can also see one of the commissions that I'm working on in the background there. It's an 18 by 24 oil painting. I'm currently letting it dry so that I can go back in and do the detailing step. Because doing fur detail over wet oil paint does not work, apparently. Anyway, so what I am working on today, I need to do a sketch for a client who, and I had to move him up because he's being really loud and obnoxious, but, you know, sometimes clients do that. I'm not moving him up a lot, but I want to get his sketch done. He ordered on New Year's Eve originally, so I haven't been able to start his project yet. I initially told him 6 to 8 weeks is when I would start, so today is basically the 8-week mark. So I want to go ahead and at least get his sketch done. My backlog, or rather, my full commission list currently is only 22 commissions long, so I've been working it down a bit. But my backlog commissions are 12 long, so a little more than half of my current commission list is backlog. And a backlog for me is basically everything that I had to put off last year going up through January. So that backlog, it might sound pretty big, but when I started this catch-up process at the end of January, because I started trying to catch up on everything properly around January 26th, so exactly a month ago, it was at 32 commissions backlogged. And so between the last week and a half of January and now, I've taken it down by 20 total commissions. And that's a lot of work. You can probably understand why I burnt myself out by driving myself into the ground completing all those commissions. So as much as I would like to slow things down and take it a bit easier from here on, I know better than to think that I'm even capable of doing that. So I'm just going to work at whatever pace feels natural to me at the moment. So this commission that I need to work on, to sketch, is a little bit different than what I would normally do. But, you know, sometimes clients will request things that I don't necessarily have a lot of experience with. But it's not necessarily a problem. What he essentially wants is an artwork of a kind of like a helicopter. But instead of having the helicopter propellers on the wings, he wants me to do a kind of sci-fi look for them. Just looking at some references over here. The helicopter he wants me to reference is the V280B8, or the V280 Valor is what it's called. It actually already looks kind of sci-fi, so incorporating sci-fi elements into it probably won't be much of an issue. Vehicles are not my forte. I'm more than happy and able to do them, but they take some doing. This one, doesn't look too difficult, really, to incorporate into a more sci-fi kind of look. I think one of my favorite sci-fi vehicles that I've seen so far was actually the Dragonfly looking attack jet things that were in the new Dune movie that came out. I know you guys can't see the references that I'm looking at here, so let me go ahead and pull one of these into Photoshop, so you can actually kind of watch along. This is the rough look of what he wants. He wants it more profile view, which I don't know how that's gonna work. I mean, I know how it'll work, I just don't know how it'll look. Well, best to just jump in and poke, really. So the important parts that he wanted included in this are the weapons he wants me to showcase, and the overall shape.
It's all about humanity. It's all about humanity. losing my mind, trying to stay inside the lines. It's like you're running in place. Yeah. How you keep staying the same. Yeah. But baby, I guess I'm something different, and I'm okay with that. I can't fake no more smiles. That shit gon' drive me mad. I'm focused on the future, don't care about nothing else. I'm better by myself. I'm better by myself. I don't need no one else. I'm better by myself. Myself. Don't wanna answer questions, just want your company. It's all good on the surface, show me what's underneath. I'm not concerned with drama, I left that shit in store. I'm more concerned with commas than keeping up with you. Keep that away from me, I put the Heisman up to bad energy. No empathy, especially when the kid off Hennessy. Fake friends to me, make my mood go south like Tennessee. Make the food come out like who is he? I mean, I tried to tell y'all. I'm better by myself. I'm better by myself. I don't need no one else. I'm better by myself. I don't know who to trust. These days everyone's shady. Fool me once, I'm on my own.
wants me to make this look more sci-fi on the propeller area here. And add a bunch of weapons to it, essentially. And he didn't really give me a lot to go off with any of that. So it's kind of at my discretion, I think. Like what Ash looks sci-fi. To me, sci-fi is, I don't know, more about, at least with vehicles, more about using things that are quantum tech, things that we don't necessarily have the actual technology for. So, stepping past the idea of doing like nuclear fission, fusion, whatever, because I know those things are technically sci-fi, but we have kind of a groundwork for them already. And yeah, a lot of sci-fi should be based in actual science and whatnot, which is why quantum is the way to go. It's one of the reasons I really like Star Trek, because everything that they do is based on quantum mechanics. How do you make things look like they're based off quantum? Most people do a lot of like lights and neon and stuff like that. grabbed the very old school ideas of what sci-fi should look like, and so I'm very much on the chrome and bright lights mindset, and I don't think that's what he wants for this. But is that what he's gonna get? Most likely, because he didn't give me enough to go off of. So what we're doing here is making this top part look like a fucking hubcap. Because hubcaps look way more futuristic in sci-fi than they should. See, this is where the science goes in, and then it comes out over here to provide the lift. Meanwhile, something is spinning inside of there. Fuck knows what it is, though. More science. Yeah, and see, I'm of the mind that simple is better when it comes to sci-fi. So, like, when I think of a spaceship, I think of those, like, fucking... A really good example is the one that they had in Star Trek, or Star Wars, rather, that they went to Naboo with. Naboo? When they found Anakin in Episode 1, kind of just looked like a bloop, a kind of teardrop, completely fucking chromed out. No features, didn't even have a goddamn window on it. That's the perfect sci-fi vessel right there. But I want... Yeah, let's do this. Create a spinning mechanism here. So it actually looks like it's connected to and slides along the actual top front of that, because it's supposed to. And then I don't like these vents. The vents look more sci-fi as well. I like the shape of the vents. So I want to ham that out. Then maybe lines. Lines are always nice. I can make those glow too. See, that looks better already. Tap it off here. And then the other way as well. Really, the problem with this type of commission isn't so much that it's a fucking vehicle, it's that he wants me to design a new vehicle based on one, which means that it's no longer like just a sci-fi-ish drawing. It's a technical drawing and it's a concept drawing. And concept art is a lot more involved than just, hey, quickly sketch this bullshit out for me, or hey, here's this awesome thing that I want you to put in the background with my character. Right? Alright, now we got the base shape of the vents there, so I'm gonna go ahead and point this off. Then this part here as well should look more pointy. Connection. Put a little weird red rocket thing right there. Oops. To do that, we want to be inside. And now that is a lemon squeezer. Lemon squeezers are sci-fi. Lemon juicers, whatever. I think they are actually called lemon squeezers. Whatever, it's a lemon squeezer. This is where you put the lemons.
And now it's just like, man, you gotta have that time where you just like disconnect from the scene, just the race. Like, and it's a race that I've created in my head, you know? But you have to step away from it.
answer a client's question by showing them a screenshot. Yeah, exactly, for thoroughly juicing the anime. Yeah, see, and that's the thing with sci-fi, like, whether what you're drawing or including in your sci-fi series actually has a real scientific backing does not matter. It's cool to be hard sci-fi, you know, and to, do it in a way that really mirrors actual science or uses actual science, but science fiction didn't become a thing by using real science. They were more about the hypothetical science. The first sci-fi ever written was Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. And a lot of people like to categorize it as more horror than sci-fi, but the fact of the fucking matter is that the entire premise of it is Dr. Frankenstein was a fucking scientist who was banned and ostracized from the scientific community for doing science that goes against nature. And he was attempting to bring someone back to life using electricity and other weird shit. And so, he brings life to the monster by doing a bunch of weird shit, piecing them together all piecemeal from a bunch of different bodies, and then making him get struck by lightning. And between Mary Shelley's Frankenstein coming out, because at the time they didn't fucking know that you could actually bring someone back to life by jump-starting the heart using electricity, between then and now, they developed that fucking technology. It was not based on science at the time. The science eventually happened, and it was proven that Frankenstein was a little bit more realistic than previously assumed. But that's what sci-fi to me is. Or some of my favorites are more like the technology has existed and then been lost, and you are now on a world or a planet that is relearning the technologies that we already have. One of my favorite examples of that is the Dragon Riders of Pern series by Anne McCaffrey, which is also happens to be one of my favorite book or series in general. They are on a planet called Pern, kind of at the edge of the universe. Thousands upon thousands of years after humanity has been more or less wiped out. They don't even remember going to this goddamn planet. Like, they've reverted to an agrarian society. They've reverted to an agrarian society. What the fuck? They've reverted to an agrarian society, and with that reversion has come pretty much the loss of all their prior technology, and they have to relearn all of said technology. The Dark Tower is, I don't think it's really able to be considered sci-fi in the same way. I think that one is more fantasy that incorporates some sci-fi elements than it is sci-fi. Which is not to like demean it or whatever, because it's a great series. But it really plays more like Stephen King does this a lot, where he will frame something kind of as if it is sci-fi, but it plays more on the religious fantasy elements than it does the actual science focus. A lot of the stuff that he does or has can kind of be considered a little bit of everything, a little bit of sci-fi, a little bit of fantasy. But he does put a lot of focus and emphasis more on the fantasy horror than the science fiction aspects of it. I read I want to say I read like 4 of the books, 3 or 4. I was a kid though. I mean, I know there's like time travel and there are the portals and everything, but a lot of it is more, he writes it and talks about it as if it's sci-fi initially, like parts of it, you know? But then the way he frames the sci-fi is that like the gunslinger is from a mystical order of old, I guess, kind of paladin types who are hunting this dude who's essentially an incarnation of the devil. And like I know the actual mythos and everything like that, but the way he frames it is more about mysticism, and he makes the science come off more like magic and superstition and arcane than he does about the science. And like massively so. Whereas in the Dragon Riders of Pern series, it starts off being like fucking dragons everywhere, yo. But as you go in and you read about it and everything, you learn the mythos. The dragons were created by the original settlers of Pern by taking the fire lizards, which were these tiny little fucking things, and genetically engineering them into these massive fucking dragons. And then that technology was lost. And they terraformed the world, and then the technology that they used to terraform and make everything be feasible as an agrarian society was lost. And so they used the dragons kind of like horses, and they make their society be based around the dragons, and then little by little they end up rediscovering the ship that brought them, the technology that allowed them to do what they do. You know what I mean? And they study it, and they start building a new way of life around not just the dragons, but also the science that they had previously lost. Like one of them in the book Moretta, Dragon Lady of Pern, they had never experienced the fucking cold before. Like, the sickness, a cold. No, it had been wiped out of existence, and they ended up opening up this vault or something, I don't know. Whatever happened, they ended up, someone caught the cold, and it turned into a pandemic and wiped everyone the fuck out, and they didn't know about inoculations or those types of things. And someone found an ancient text that talked about how they would take the blood of a recently sick creature, separate the clear from the red, and use that clear as an inoculation to give to other people to prevent them from getting the same sickness. And it's a basic fucking vaccine science. And they didn't need it because viruses didn't really exist on Pern. And the common cold had been long since wiped out and didn't even need to be thought about anymore. And so they had to relearn vaccine science within that book. Yeah, and see, that's probably true. I just know that like the initial portions of the series are a lot more mysticism. And honestly, like Stephen King's really heavily about mysticism, you know, the amount of Native American lore he tries to bring in, and the amount of like tribalism and all of that stuff that he ties into it, his horror, is absolutely fucking massive. He also goes very close to being Lovecraftian with a lot of this stuff. Yeah, so this wasn't aliens being defeated by the common cold. This was humans falling victim to a resurgence of the common cold after literally thousands of years of not having to think about it for that book. It's also one of my favorite books in the series. My chair is very much on its way out. I will be right back. but I'm working on it. Look, I got a chair. Oh, that is so much better. Top door. Oh, right. Sorry about that. I just fucking domed myself so bad. I see that the camera is lined up with my fucking door. So you probably saw. Yeah, I'm probably gonna develop a bruise. The leg of the chair hit my suitcase and it knocked the chair like that, which sent the back of the chair down and directly into my face. Yeah, I'm okay. I was just, it was dumb. Already start to see the bruise forming right there. Gotta love it. Is it considered domestic abuse? Sue myself for thousands of dollars? I just sent a message over to the client to let him know that I'm working on his commission over Twitch and that he should come and join along. I have a problem with these fins. I don't know what that problem is. I do. I mean, they're long and blocky as shit, and sci-fi fins don't really do that. I kind of want to cut them about right there and put something on them. Let me see if he gave me notes about the fins. Oh, he did say that he wants a changed design for the V-tail. Making things look more like bugs is a really good way of making things look more sci-fi. Something a bit recurvy. Recurvy but aerodynamic. Oh wait. Yeah, see that mindset of science figuring out that things that have been around for millions of years are probably the best design, is one of the reasons that I really like the crawlers from Ghost in a Shell. I don't really like Ghost in a Shell as a whole, but the shit, what are they called? I don't know. They're based off spiders though. I think I would remember the fucking name of them. That's starting to look a lot better. Like it's actually supposed to be part of the same machine. What are they fucking called? Hachikoma. They look like they're kind of a mix between a spider and a beetle, like a scarab beetle. Yeah, see, I like some parts of Ghost in the Shell too, but I don't know. They're most of the issues that I have with Ghost in a Shell are not about Ghost in a Shell itself. Like, as a whole. The story is kind of cool, captivating, what have you. The writing isn't necessarily bad. The characters aren't really bad. Most of it, to me, is just the fucking art. And not the original Ghost in the Shell art. I fucking love Masamune Shiro. My issue is that over time, more and more artists have started working on Ghost in the Shell and diverging heavily from the original art and the original designs of Masamune Shiro. And I swear to God, like, I just can't fucking not deal with that. Like, I would probably absolutely love Ghost in the Shell standalone complex if I were able to give it a chance, but I can't fucking look at the art because it's nothing like Shiro's original work. I'm pretty sure 90% of the artists who are working on it don't even know what Hero draws like. And it's kind of frustrating because I also know that, like, he oversaw all of it. So he gave the green light to these people to essentially bastardize his own work, and I don't like that. Yeah, see, Bato and his dog are great. I love his dog. One of the biggest frustrations to me, though, is like, I don't know, when the movie came out, the live action, everyone was losing their shit, being like, "Oh my god, why is the Major being cast as Scarlett Johansson? Why choose a white woman?" and etc. You know. And with any other series, I would understand that. With any other series, cast a fucking Japanese woman as the protagonist because the protagonist is Japanese. However, it is a plot point in the original comic that white people are almost entirely extinct, and the people who are buying the like sex bots and everything and giving most of their money to people want something exotic, and because of this, the Major was placed into the robotic body of a white woman. Like, it is a plot point in the series. She comments about it and talks about how she would much rather look like her original Japanese self. And in that movie, they even talk about how her original body was a Japanese woman. They show her mom and everything like that. Um, and like that's that's part of the world building. So like for me, it makes more sense that they did cast her as a white woman. I couldn't care less that it was Scarlett Johansson, but like stuff like that, people just completely fucking missing the point ruins my enjoyment of those types of things, because suddenly that's all the conversation is about. And it's completely tone deaf and missing all of it, the important aspects, you know? Well, yeah, the Major is fully cybernetic, but it was a literal plot point that even that with her being cybernetic, they chose a body that looked like a white woman. Like that was a key component to her backstory, and the reason they did it was because it made shitty rich people who were doing illegal bullshit much more likely to purchase her, and it made it much easier for her to infiltrate as a spy. not just too reactionary, but too reactionary without an understanding of the material that they're reacting to. That's when it becomes an issue to me. Like, you want to bitch about something in along those lines, bitch about the live action Battle Angel Alita. I haven't even seen it. I couldn't fucking bring myself to. I don't really have an issue with how they used the CGI in that movie, but like, I don't know, there was something really fucking off-putting about how they went about it. And I can't really even place my fucking finger on it, but like, if it skeeves me out just after a few previews, that's probably a good fucking place to start. And I used to love the Battle Angel Alita manga when I was, a fucking kid. I read that shit when I was fucking 10, 11. Not sure who Ryukishi 07 was. Higurashi vaguely rings bells. I've never watched it. It's kind of vaguely on my radar. That's cool. Kind of like how Ryan Reynolds did Deadpool. Yeah, honestly, a lot of the big serialized, or not the serialized, the big production companies, whether they're video game or movie and TV, are pretty shitty about that. Like, one of the only ones that I currently trust is A24, and um, in out of Japan or Japanese production companies, Studio Madhouse is the one that I trust and go with more often than not. So if it's by Madhouse, I'm pretty much all the fuck over it. Got Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, Hellsing Ultimate, One Punch Man. So I just sent an email over to the client for this piece, and I kind of need to chill the fuck out here and not work on this because I've done a lot of work so far, and I haven't actually gotten any input from him. And where I'm at currently, I just need to know if this is what he's looking for before I start moving on to adding like the heavy details to it and everything. So, but that said, this is basically the final rough body for the thing. Or presumably final. If he ends up liking it, it's the final body. If not, then I need to readdress some things. But I did tell him that I want to change the angle because he said he wants it full profile view. But full profile view, as you can see, hides the fact that it has wings, and it makes the wing pylons vanish. So it looks like the thrusters are right on the very fucking sides of this thing. Which is not great. I could probably do something where I like put the wings coming up recurved a little bit to show them. And then put the thrusters kind of up there and spread that out so that the other ones are over here. But it's really reliant on what the client wants at this point. I'm happy with most of the design. See, that already looks way fucking better. Just repositioning that shit a little bit. a lot of the reason that I'm really just sold for the most part on Studio Madhouse is just because the level of respect that they show to the series itself. Like it's one of the only anime studios that I know of that doesn't go in, at least as far as I'm aware, and try to micromanage the absolute shit out of the series until the series is completely different from the original and they've completely changed the fucking story to a point where it's goddamn unrecognizable, you know? Almost every other anime studio does that. Like, I think even One Piece is done by Studio Madhouse, which is why, part of why, or maybe there's Shueisha and Toei Animation. Toei Animation's usually really good as well. They will change stuff, but they do it with the filler setup instead of the we're actually changing the whole fucking story setup.
We wanted to run, we wanted to fall together. Back then our world seemed so clear. We grew so bright, shimmering lights around us. We'd take flight into the sky. How many worlds would you cross to use the light that's right in front of you? There is no light on the other side. I say, look straight ahead and you will
the fuck?
Take my hand, I'll lead you on into the stars. We'll ride away from all the wars. Close the doors and disappear again. And I don't know how many times I've said that this is not the end, and we will make it out of here alive. Oh, alive, alive, oh, alive, alive.
I haven't seen Girl either. The one that fucking makes me mad, and I actually think this is Studio Madhouse, but it's not Studio Madhouse's fault, it's the fucking writer's fault. Because it is the original writer of the original fucking series, but it's, and Hellgirl reminded me about it, Devilman Crybaby? I'll expound.
You will see.
The art in Devilman Crybaby was right up my fucking alley, but they changed so much from the original comic that it just wasn't worth fucking watching to me. They completely changed the tone, they completely changed the driving force of the series. They made the main character a whiny little emo bitch. They made the religious side of it take the fore instead of the, like, monster fighting type shit. Because the original Devilman had some of the coolest fucking monsters in it. I have an entire list of anime that I shouldn't be recommending to people that I recommend to everyone. This guy hasn't gotten back to me. and shit over here. Interesting. Didn't realize that it happened. Photoshop somehow became misaligned.
Memories die out too hard. We were traveling the mountains just to find the loudest tease. We set down by the fire, knowing we could aim higher, but we didn't know that yet. So if you want something to hold on to, gotta find it first. But here I am, 'cause I've been laying under palm trees, waiting for the summer, knowing there's nowhere to go. 'Cause I am happy on this island, wanna be my farmland. I don't ever want to leave, I'm in a tropic club. I remember the ocean, memories die out too hard. We were traveling the mountains just to find the loudest tease. We sat down by the fire, knowing we could aim higher, but we didn't know that yet. So if you want something to hold on to, gotta find it first. But here I am, 'cause I've been laying under palm trees, waiting for the summer, knowing there's nowhere to go. 'Cause I am happy on this island, wanna be my farmland. I don't ever want to leave, I'm in a tropic club.
Reading the synopsis of Hellgirl, it kind of feels like it's something similar to that Shop of Horrors. If you've ever seen or heard of that. If you've seen it, ignore the fact that the fucking anime existed. The anime was horrible. The manga was fucking brutal, though. The description of Nemo seems kind of reminds me also of Blue Submarine number 6, I think it was. Blue Submarine number 6. Which is one of the most infuriating series in existence to me. Oh my god. And it's not because the series itself. The series, I assume, is one of the best fucking things to ever come out of anime. But I have ADHD and autism, and one of the weird things about that is that if plans change, I get this weird mental backlash that sometimes creates massive walls of me doing a thing, even if I really fucking want to. I spent $50 on a special edition DVD box set of Blue Submarine number 6. And it's a mini-series, so $50 is just way more fucking money than anyone should have had to spend on that little 6-episode thing, right? But I wanted to watch that series so fucking badly that I didn't care that it cost that much money. I was down. Like $10 an episode, steep, but whatever, you know, at least it'll be in my DVDs for fucking ever. Or so I thought. I hadn't even taken this fucking series out of the packaging yet. And my roommate stole it and sold it to a fucking pawn shop. And it has been 12 years, and I have still not been able to get past the sheer fucking frustration of having lost that series before I could watch it. Like, the man ruined my fucking life, and he didn't even know it. But it hit me so fucking hard in that ADHD plan change button that, yeah, 12 years later, and I still haven't been able to bring myself to buy it again. Because that's the only way you can watch it. Like, the shit was serialized for something like 2 years or 3 years, and then it went out of existence. Like, it was a mini-series. It was not made to be this long-lasting anime that you can get every episode on DVD over the span of 15 years. It was one and done. And I could find the box set, but the box set costs like $80 now. Look. Alright, so 2 hours into the stream, the client hasn't gotten back to me about whether this looks good to him. So I'm going to go ahead and put a pin in this commission, because I do have other things that I need to be working on that I don't want to waste a bunch of time waiting because of, or waiting to get to, rather. So we're gonna go ahead and, now I like that better completely. Do that like that for now.
take me away from home. Show me all the places I've never known, and we'll chase the night, race all of these broken dreams in flight, and we'll fly.
I know how I feel about the character classes that they're choosing for this. But yeah, I'm sure it'll be interesting. I'm more excited to do this just because of the fact that it's a nice portfolio piece for people who are like, or to show off to people who are like looking for D&D character commissions and such. But this one's going to be published, so I'll also have a hard copy book with the classes that I draw in it once it's done.
Like you, be strong to hold the powers of the sun. To dream, believe in strength. Now I'm the only one, only one. I was an ordinary boy until I broke the rules. My life destroyed. My life destroyed. I don't know what you want. Let's have a bit of fun till I downfall. My love, if you feel like I do right now, don't say you're on the run to the other side. My love. I don't know what you want. Let's have a bit of fun till I downfall. My love, if you feel like I do right now, don't say you're on the run to the other side. My love, you say you wanna try, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose. You say you wanna try, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose. You say you wanna cry, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose.
Kingdom of Death Monster Design. Or Kingdom of Death Monster? Oh, interesting. Very alternative horror. Or surrealist body horror. Good stuff. Like it. Okay. I just started getting hit with that hypoglycemia feeling, and I do not have a lot of food around the house right now, so I need to order some food.
Let this be another night to tie around my bed at night. I know I've lost the fight to erase your face, my mind. Awake, I lie here staring up beyond the sky.
Alright. Ordered some beef burger. Meantime, system. I'm now stuck at a point where I have to wait for 2 different clients to get back at me, or back to me, because for the helicopter design, I need to know if this base works for him before I move forward. And for the character classes, I need to know if that format works for all of them. Because if it does, I can just power through all of the different character classes without any input. But if he doesn't like that arrangement, then I need to scrap it, do something else, and move forward, and start it over. But yeah. So I'm kind of stuck at an impasse. I have to wait for both of them to get back to me, which means I could switch over to a personal project, or I could wait for my food to show up and read manga for a little bit before jumping back on and working. And I feel like I might have to do that because I ate something to tide me over, and that'll kick in a bit. It'll prevent me from going into the whole hypoglycemia thing. But probably got about 20 or 30 minutes before my food shows up. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Jump off, read some manga, give myself a bit of a break, and then jump back on in maybe like an hour or so. Unlike the last few times that I said that and jumped off and then vanished, I actually have a lot of energy today, and I have a lot of work that I can do, even if these two at least hinge on clients getting back to me. So I should be able to jump back on and do a lot of work, even if they don't jump on or they don't get back to me before then. Just probably pulling up my my tarot cards and doing some more work on those, since it's now been over a month since I've done any work on my tarot cards. Anyway, so yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and call a break here and come back in maybe an hour or two. So, see you soon. Thanks for joining in and chatting with me, Jen. Always nice to have you here. And yeah, look forward to what comes when I come back.